All right, the frame is back from the welders. Let me show you what I've been up to. So, here we go. That looks all right, doesn't it? It's not too bad. A couple of little welds here. I've done these bits, these are all on. I'm probably going to grind these down a little bit. These bits look pretty good. I'm pretty happy with them. It's only been MIG welded. He said that'd be pretty strong enough and it was cheaper. So this morning what I've been doing is, you probably remember there was that the leftover bit from the post that was here, where I cut the post off here. Now the issue with that was, hang on, let me go get it. Oh, you haven't seen this, but when I tried to fit the welding battery box, because of that extra bit on the post, which is, I think, this guy, it was sort of welded onto the front here. So this is all bent and cut out of shape. But anyway, this was welded onto the front here. It was probably about, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch or something like that. But it meant that the battery box didn't go in. There wasn't a lot of clearance, as you can see down there. But now it slides all the way through, which is quite nice. So what I'm going to do is, I'm actually going to take the battery out of this bike, because one didn't come with this bike in that big box of parts. So I'm just going to take the battery out of this one, test fit it into that battery box, and if it's too tall or it's difficult to get the battery in and out, I'll probably cut some like grooves into it or something like that, just to help me in the future. But also what I'm going to do is, I've also cut these off. So I decided to go pretty much flush. So what I'm going to do is actually this bit of steel, which was sort of like the, I don't know what you call it, like the seat saddle covers for this bike. This is, I think, 1mm steel. What I'm probably going to do is just cut out this section, maybe make a little template to cover those holes and weld that on. Yeah, I think that will probably be good enough just to cap off those little holes. There we are. So the little caps on. Not too bad. I've sort of tried to grind them down a little bit, but this is very thin. It's only 1mm thick, so I didn't want to go too far. It's looking pretty good. The other side is a little bit more difficult because there wasn't as much clearance to get around here, but what I found was, because this material was so thin, I just had to hit it with the welder and it actually just helped melt it straight in. So those caps are on now. I've just cleaned them up a little bit, but I'm pretty happy with those. They're nice and flush. Most people don't cut them down this far, I think, because it's easier just to cap off like a tube, but I didn't want any tube, so I've cut them all the way down, capped them off with a bit of that steel. Alrighty, so I've just propped this up underneath with a little bit of steel to get that nice and sort of the height I want it. I've already tested a battery in there. It sits pretty much flush, but I think what I'm going to do is probably put some foam padding in the bottom, so that'll probably lift it up, maybe, I don't know, 10mm or something. So what I'm going to do is run a weld across here, probably across here, and then that'll be in place. There we go, that's that fully in. Despite this looking like the worst bit, this is actually probably the best weld I did. The rest of my crimes are hidden by the angle grinding. I might file this down by hand a little bit. It was a bit of a struggle to get the angle grinder in this area, but I did flip this thing over and I did weld along here and here on the underside. So just in case the angle grinding weakened these welds at all, it should be plenty strong because it's got another bead of weld on the underside of both sides of this. So pretty happy with that. What else is fabrication wise to go for this frame? I think I've just got to grind down some of these welds. They're a little bit lumpy from the sort of MIG welder at the fabricators, so I'll probably grind those down a little bit. I think I've just got a little bit of tidying up to do on some of these other little brackets and things where I've just cut off areas. Other than that though, I don't think, unless I'm missing anything obvious, I don't think there's too much else I need to do on this frame, welding wise. I'll probably have to have a look at all my stuff. Oh yeah, the rear fender. I may have to modify the brackets a little bit to see where that's going to sit around there. So I was just testing out the seat pan again, because I didn't like how much movement it had in the springs. And basically what I've done is I've ordered some of these nylon bearing spacers, I think they're called, or bushings, whatever you want to call them. Inside diameter is 8mm. Outside diameter is about 17.8, so they fit really nicely over the posts. I had to drill these ones out to I think 9.5mm, but these ones fit straight on the 8mm bolts, and they fit really snug in the inside the springs, so barely any movement on the springs now, which is really nice. But that has highlighted another slight issue, which I'm not entirely pleased about, is this bit up here. Now, this isn't the weld-on version of the seat pan. This is the bolt-on version. So this machined bracket here just bolts straight into the frame. But there's quite a lot of like sort of motion in the see if you can see that. It sort of wiggles around just up here between these bolts. So what I'm thinking is mark this area and then weld on a bracket onto the frame and just bolt that straight through, so there's no movement on this at all. That will stop these wiggling about so much at the back, because these are pretty solid now. Well, solid as springs get anyway. But this is now giving me a bit of, I don't know, there's too much play in this for my liking. So I think what I might do is just mark off here, mark off here. I'm thinking, I don't have any flat steel at the minute, so what I'm thinking is maybe take some of these offcuts. This is like 4mm steel. Take some of these offcuts, slice it down here, heat it up, flatten it out on the vise, and make some little brackets out of it or something. That's going to be my first attempt. If that doesn't work, I guess I can, well, this is a bit thin for bracket material, but I could just buy some steel. But this is nice and chunky. I'd like to try and use offcuts if I can. Might be slightly difficult because they're round, but we'll see. I'm gonna give that a go. There we are. So I angle ground one of these in half. I used my blowtorch, heated it up, flatten it out. I mean, that's pretty flat. I'm pretty happy with that. I can't even see it. Anyway, I thought I'd record this bit because it's red hot. So I just made a little template, a card, and that basically just sort of sat in here to give me the rough profile of this. Marked out the little drill point on there, and essentially what I've done is I've cut that out of here, pretty rough, but these are going to get welded in, so it's not too much of an issue. Yeah, not too bad. I mean, they're just going to sit in here basically. I'll weld those in. I'll weld one in, and then I'll put the seat bracket in, see how that sits, see if that sits nicely. I'll weld the other one in, make sure it's nice and tight. I've drilled this out to so the bracket itself is a it's like an 8.5, which is a bit weird, which is why these are so loose. There's that sort of 1/2 mil of play. So I've drilled these out to this one out to a 9. This one I haven't really drilled yet. And then I'm going to drill this out to a 9 and get a 9mm bolt. And then that should all be pretty snug. But yeah, I'm going to weld one of these in. Offer this up to it and then figure out where I need to put the next one. So weld one side in, put this in, weld the other side in. I should probably get like a 9mm bolt actually before I do that. Yeah, see how that goes. I've welded on these guys. These are in here now. I've bought a bolt to go through here because I do have a 10mm bolt, but it's fully threaded. I'd rather have a partial threaded one so it doesn't look as rubbish. The springs with the what are they called, spacer things? There's barely any wiggle in that now. I mean, I'm wiggling the camera at the same time, so you can't really tell. But there's barely any wiggle in that now. I'm pretty happy with that. That's pretty solid. Last thing I wanted was this thing sliding when I was going around corners. I've just put the old chain on top of the tyre. The tyre's in temporarily now because the rear fender has to get positioned. And the issue I'm having with this now is obviously these are the bolt-on brackets. But they now no longer have anything to bolt onto, which was that strut, this thing here. So they should have bolted onto this section here and then sort of hooked over and then connected. But I've now obviously cut that off. So the plan is I'm going to get this fender in position where I want it. And then this, if I can show it, I'm going to try and position this where I would like it. And then sort of mark out on this bracket here where I need to cut this round profile for this bar. So essentially the plan is, let me get a scrap bit. So essentially the plan is, at the moment I can only put it here with the fender sort of coming up here. So I'm going to mark out roughly where that needs to go. And then once I've got that positioned properly, I can then sort of draw around this and then cut that section out and weld that onto that crossbar. This is 4mm thick, I think, and this is very much the same. So I'm pretty sure I can whack my welder on the highest setting that it has and it won't burn through. So the plan is just to get this fender in position where it looks, you know, nice to bolt through, where it sits nicely, and then mark on this bracket where I need to make that cut, and then make the cut, get that welded on. And I think these brackets are then the last bit of fabrication I have to do for this frame. I mean, I may have missed something. There might be one bracket or cable retention thing I need to sort out, but this is looking pretty good. I just need to file down a little bit here where I cut off the old coil mounts. I mean, the factory welds aren't amazing, so I'm not too fussed about, you know, my welds not looking amazing. But yeah, this is coming along quite nicely. This tyre is kind of flat and also a little bit, I mean, the treads aren't too bad, but it's not bald. So the plan is just to get this in position, and I might just lift it a little when it comes to fitting it, just so when I've got a brand new tyre on here fully inflated, it doesn't rub against the inside of this. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with that, how that's coming along so far. There we go. That's the bracket, sort of cut to the profile of the steel. I'm just using a little welding magnet to hold it in place so I can tack it eventually with my welder. I'm just trying to sight this and to make sure I've got even gaps before I tack that in place. But essentially that's it. Yeah, it's come out quite nice. I think it's obviously not going to sit flat because this is a curved surface and this isn't. So yeah, I'm just trying to get this in the best possible position where it's not putting pressure on anything, and you know, it's basically just sat there quite nicely. Yeah, I'm going to get that in position and then I'll probably tack that in place. I'm not going to fully weld it till I've got the other one angle ground. I mean, this, I didn't film this because it was just cutting it out, angle grinding it, and then cleaning up the curve with the sanding disc. Wasn't really too much interesting to show you, but yeah, basically I'm just gonna maybe take a little bit more off this inside edge so it's not pressing on the fender itself. But yeah, I'm just gonna do that, tack that in place, make the next one. That one's gonna sit here obviously, and then those will be ready to weld on, and then this will just mount onto this with the bolt holes which I'll drill afterwards, and then that rear fender will be completely detachable. Right, there we go. I decided to cut both of them just so I can space them out equally. They're looking pretty good. That one I might need to just shove in a little bit more or take a bit off. I don't want that too much of a gap there between the two. On this side it's pretty flush, so can't moan with that. That one's looking pretty good. Yeah, so I'm just spending a little bit of time just poking these into position, and then once I'm happy with where they sit and where the fender's sitting, I'll just tack these in place. Yeah, obviously this is really wonky. I need to mess about with this a little bit more. But yeah, just checking the gaps down this end. Just sticking my thumbs in there, seeing if it feels the same, and then obviously making sure the tire's straight. And then yeah, I'll just tack these guys in place, and then that'll be good to weld up. Well, they're on. I mean, if this bike wins any awards, it's going to be the award for the worst welds in the history of mankind. But I mean, hot. They're on there. They're not going anywhere. What I probably will do is just use a little bit of like epoxy metal filler to hide my crimes. But yeah, I mean, they're definitely on there. If I can focus, yeah, there we go. So yeah, they're pretty solid. I mean, I should probably do some sort of welding course really to find out how to weld properly. I did a couple of practice beads on some scrap metal and they came out okay, but every time I try and replicate it, it just comes out like crap. I think I have to just, you know, go on a little course and actually learn how to weld properly. Sometimes they come out good, sometimes they come out trash. These ones have come out sort of in middle ground. They're not bad, but they're pretty bad. This is the entire reason why I didn't want to do these welds myself. I didn't want to, you know, put my life in my own hands when I've welded some horrendously terrible joints. So I've got those safety ones done properly. Last thing I want is this thing collapsing while I'm trying to ride it. But anyway, yeah, I'm just going to clean up some of the spatter off this frame. I used the little fire blanket again, and it tends to keep most of it off, so it's not too bad. Yeah, and then what I'm going to do is mark out the holes. I think I might have been lucky, because if you can just see here and here, you can see where the sort of smoke or the burnt flux or whatever it is has like left the holes through, left a mark through the holes. So I should just be able to center punch and drill straight through those, and they should be pretty much in the right place if I got lucky. But we'll see. I'm going to drill the holes for this, get that bolted on, see how that looks. Okay, right, I've marked out a couple of little holes where I'm happy this thing looks and sits right. So just going to get my step drill bit. Now I tried to drill through where are they? I tried to drill through I think it was this piece that I cut for the seat brackets. I tried to drill through this with this and two other metal 10mm drill bits, and it absolutely destroyed the drill bits. I think this is like some sort of hardened steel. I'm not 100% sure, but this isn't. So I know that for the purpose of installing this, you don't really have much issue getting through this material, but obviously with the bolt-on pieces and these pieces, you know, part of the installation is you don't have to drill anything. So that's probably why they're hardened, I imagine. I mean, they might not be hardened, but I found them incredibly difficult to get through, and they blunted a few of my drill bits, but this should be fine. So the plan is to get my glasses on, put my step drill bit in. That's it. Right, what size bolts are these? These are What are they? They are big. They are the worst ruler. 10 mil. That's fine. Okay, so this needs to go up to this one. Let's give that a go. Yeah, like I thought, that other metal that I tried to drill has absolutely chewed up this drill bit. So I think I'm going to leave this like that, and then I will do the other side, swap that for a brand new 10mm bit, and finish off that hole. Right, swap this over. Got a brand new one. Still got the oil on it. It should be able to get through this fine. Finish off the other side. There we go. 10mm holes. Just clean up all those and we should be good. Alright, let's give this thing a test fit. Hopefully everything lines up. I'm sure it will. I should probably do this, take the wheel off for this really. Alright, let's try this properly. Okay, there we go. Obviously I'm going to cut these down, maybe get some nice little acorn nuts or something. I've gone with the bolt heads on the inside because they are smaller than what would be on the inside if I flip these bolts around. So I want the shallowest portion in there, but that is absolutely, that's rock solid. That's not going anywhere. Stick the back wheel on, see how that looks. Maybe put the seat on as well. There we go. It's looking nice. I like that. I'm really pleased this is really solid. I was worried that this would be flopping about, but it's actually quite sturdy. I haven't tightened it up fully, and obviously I haven't put the little plastic things in it. You can see how much he's wobbling around without the plastic in there. Yeah, she's looking pretty good. So I've got to tidy up these welds a little bit. As I say, just, you know, I've still left this little bracket bit sharp where I cut it off, so I've got to clean that up. Yeah, mudguard on, fender on, whatever you want to call it, depending on your part of the world. I've strapped it down to the jack again because this is getting a pain to lift up and down. But yeah, that's I think, unless I've forgotten anything obvious, that's essentially all the fabrication done for the frame. This is pretty comfy. Holds my weight nicely. And now I'm not worried that my shirt's going to get sucked down into the void of the rear tyre. So yeah, pretty happy with that. We're coming along. All in all, it's come out all right. This is only the first coat. It's like an etch primer. So I'm pretty much just going to let this dry and then come back with the Y wheel and just clean up some of these, get the primer off of some of these areas, put some filler on there, just make them look a little bit nicer. Other than that, yeah, pretty happy with how this has come out so far. It's all looking pretty neat, pretty tidy. But I wire wheeled the whole thing, got any surface rust off, and then yeah, first coat of primer on. That should stop any more flash rusting, anything like that. So yeah, it's looking pretty good. Paint time. I bought some. I thought for the frame it would probably be a good idea to use something fairly hard wearing. I've kind of gone off the idea of powder coating, mainly because I think I'm not sure if I mentioned it before, but I had to install the rubber oil seals and stuff, which used to protect the bearings in there, so I could get the swing arm spacers in. But the problem with that is now is that can't be powder coated because they'll just melt. And also I can't get them out because the spacers squash them in between the frame now that it's all been welded together. So anyway, I've bought this alloy wheel paint, mainly because any other tough paint that I tried to find, I couldn't really find it in like a metallic. I wanted like a metallic silver graphite sort of colour. This one is an alloy wheel paint. It's quite chip resistant, but it also has like a lacquer, not built in, but like a separate spray that I'm going to apply afterwards. So it's a fairly warmish day today. It's not super warm, but I'm going to give this a go on the underside of the frame and see how it comes out. Okay, so I ordered the metallic graphite spray paint, which kind of looked like the vision I was going for. Initially I ordered a dark sort of anthracite sort of grey, but I wasn't sure whether that'd be too dark. I didn't want a black frame, but I wanted sort of like a dark grey, and the graphite looked pretty good. Unfortunately though, it's like super silver. It's way more silver than I wanted. This is indoors too. It's actually much brighter outdoors. So I've stopped. I put a bit on here and that's pretty much it. This I feel it's got like the flake in it. It's quite nice. It will probably make like a nice silver base coat for the candy for sort of red that I want to do. So I'm going to keep them for that, and I'm going to order the darker sort of anthracite color. I didn't want a black frame. I wanted it like dark grey, but this is full on in your face glitter silver. I don't want that. That's not the look I'm going for. And it's a little difficult because it's just sort of a shinier version of the primer, so it's difficult to see where I've been and where I haven't been. I would like a bit more contrast in that. So I am going to stop spraying this for now. I mean, it does look quite nice. It covers well. So I'm going to get the same brand stuff. It's not the color I want. It's a bit too bright for sort of the look I'm trying to go for this bike. So I'm going to stop spraying this one. I'm going to buy the other paint and then carry on from there. So it's been a couple of weeks actually since I last did a recording, mainly because I have been renovating my garage. So it now looks a hell of a lot better. I painted the floor on an oil resistant, petrol resistant, water resistant paint. The walls have been painted. That took a little while. I put up some extra shelves because the ones I had on this wall were just thin MDF. They were just sagging. What else have I done? Yeah, painted all the walls. I've also put all these loft boards in, made a new hatch opening. All these loft boards are in. Basically because I had so much camping gear. I had the roof box for the car as well. That was all stuck to the wall. And now all of it is up in the roof, which basically means I have a hell of a lot more space. And this actually looks more like a workshop than just a storage space. I've also put in another strip light. That's just because I was struggling for light at that end. I just had two little spotlights. Obviously painting around all this stuff was a complete pain, but I just took my time, masked it all off. That was all good. I've moved some of my other shelves and whatnot, but now I've got plenty of space. Oh, and also I've also fitted a humidistat, which is attached to two extraction vents, and up in the ceiling I've got a big inline extraction fan. So basically that just sucks all of the dust and the, you know, paint fumes that I shouldn't be spraying in here, and all the other, you know, welding smoke and all that stuff. Just sucks it straight out, goes straight out the tile vent on the roof. What I've also still got to do is I've got a couple of where are they? I've got a couple of vents, which I've got 2 of those quite big ones, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut a little section out of the door and then rivet those on to the front of the door. So that'll just let, now that I'm sucking loads of air out, I need to let some air in to replace it. Basically, the humidistat is there because last winter the temperature dropped and then it got warm again, and everything in here just got covered in condensation because the warm air just got trapped. I had some tile vents installed to try and help with that, but I just don't think there's enough airflow. So what I've got is this humidistat, and that is set to automatically turn on for about 15-20 minutes whenever the humidity in here, or the air moisture in here, gets to anywhere near like 60%, that sort of thing. And that should take care of it. The fan up in there for this amount of air volume can do, I think it's just under 8 full air changes an hour. So that's like just over 1 full air change every 10 minutes. So if I stick that thing on for like 10-20 minutes, it can replace all of the air in this section of the garage, you know, almost twice. So yeah, that should help with the moisture and the condensation and all that. Anyway, that's not really what you're here to watch. Basically, I've got the new paint. This is Bavarian dark anthracite, and it is much nicer than the brighter paint. So I'm going to make sure my extractor's on, stick my mask on, open the garage door, do a bit of spraying, just to give it a go really. I've not done anything in here since I've fitted all this stuff, so this will be the first time doing anything. So yeah, this colour's so much nicer. It's like a much darker metallic grey. It's much better than that sort of bright silver that the other one came out of. I've only just this is only the first coat. I've got loads of cans of this stuff, so they're going to do several coats. And then I've got some lacquer as well. Yeah, the fans are working good. I sort of did a bit of a spray. I know this isn't a spray booth, and I know it's not a good idea to spray in an enclosed space. I've got the door open, I've got the fan going. It's the best I've got, and I tried to do a bit of research and get the most powerful fan that I could stick up there for the power rating of this garage anyway. But yeah, I did a bit of spraying, left it for 5 minutes, and pretty much nothing left in the air, so I'm pretty chuffed about that. There's a tiny smell of sort of solvent paint, but nothing compared to if I hadn't had any extraction system going. But it's quite nice. Yeah, I haven't fully coated it. I just ran out of paint on that the last can, so I'll probably I might get try and get one more coat, just so I know the underside's done. Yeah, it's looking really nice. I really like the shade. There we go, this is a coat of paint on. This is looking pretty nice. It's a nice colour. Much nicer than that brighter silver. I wasn't a huge fan of that. This is much more of a sort of a darker gunmetal grey sort of colour. It's got a little bit of a sparkle to it. It's pretty good. Yeah, it's covered quite nicely. Anyway, as I mentioned before, this is alloy wheel paint. So it's pretty tough in itself, but I am going to stick a coat of lacquer over the top of it. So that is what I'm going to do now. go, all lacquered up. Nice and shiny. I'm still going to let this dry and harden. And once that's done, that'll pretty much be ready for the engine to go back in. Yeah, it's definitely looking nice. Really like that colour. Yeah, so the engine's almost ready to go back in. I've fitted the front sprocket, the oil pressure sensor and the neutral sensor wiring has gone back on. New oil filter, that's on. I had this off the other day just to mess about with one of the bolts, but that's all sorted now. This thing is covered in dust. Yeah, so this is all ready to go back on. New sump plug, that's gone in. Yeah, so once this is all dry, all the paint is hardened on there, the lacquer's hardened I should say, you get the engine back in. And that will be the frame pretty much finished.